Aloha out there in television, radio, and internet land. I am Jason Schwartz, your host of The Neutral Zone, MauiNeutralZone.com, on Akaku Maui Community TV and 88.5 FM, The Voice of Maui, YouTube, and on our webpage, MauiNeutralZone.com. We are in campaign 2022, and I just came out with a notion that these conversations are really like dates, very candid dates. And so we're going to be putting that out. Oh, there's a little heart guy. You have next to me here, this side, ARAM Armstrong. Now you see his name and his website up there because these are just a token into the richness of some of these candidates. I've spoken to ARAM before, and I don't think he hit the go button. Do I still have the recording? I'll get recording. But our conversation was so rich, I felt like I was flying off the ground because I could interplay with someone that not only understands me and what I've been trying to do for all these years, and now with your vote, I'll do it at council level, but he also is someone who is a compatriot in really important basic concepts. ARAM, A-R-A-M, ARAM Armstrong, welcome to our show.
Aloha. Mahalo, Jason.
Now, you and I are sitting, you're in an inside-outside space, and I can tell that you'd rather be outside with me and walking, but I told you that I want to be doing the same. My studio here with my sign, I can't bring with me.
Help, I'm in the box.
But the best part is that this is our moment in time to point them to the outside. I'm hoping that by being the same and giving this even place where we're all coming from the same thing of me, that the world's going to see I am nothing without the people that have ideas. But there are a lot of people that have been sitting next to me on screen, including this one, and you'll see that. And he takes a serious approach. He decided to run. ARAM, that's a big deal. When I look in the mirror, I see an older man, but I see you as someone that could be my son, but I imagine you're in your 30s or 40s, right? Somewhere in there?
I just turned 43.
There you go. Do you know that I ran for the mayor of Maui in 1994 and then switched to council, and I was 43. So I get that age, it's a good age. And I cut my teeth on running. What made you decide that you want to run? And then give us an idea who you are, what brings you to here.
Well, first of all, I'm running, I'm dancing, I'm walking, I'm also cycling for office. Why is a good question. I found myself almost compulsively watching Akaku Channel 54, the council meetings, and just like drawn into like the minutia of like testimony and the process. And I guess there's two big reasons. One, I love Maui. I grew up here and I see the beauty that we are as a community, the beauty that this land is. And I see a lot of like weeds to pull. I see some systemic issues that are kind of at the root cause of the state of the world and the state of the island. And I love challenging challenges, systemic challenges. So Maui feels like a little, just a view into the world. And we have a lot of beautiful people here, a lot of different forces, commercial forces, ag forces. So it's just like, it's a beautiful space to be involved in. How do you do lomi or acupuncture in the system?
When I think of Hawaii and I see someone like you, I first thought is that you weren't from here, but you grew up here and you've been here.
Mainly.
And you're a smart guy. Tell us some of your background and what you've been doing, because as we started talking, we started talking about issues and we just took off. Tell me a little bit and let our audience know a little more about you.
Okay, I'm a Maui High graduate, class of 97. And I was actually not a great student. I was part of the underachieving gifted and talented class. I was on the academic decathlon, so there was potential there, but I was also the class clown, as you might be able to tell. And I went into art and technology thanks to the MHPCC and Dr. Harold Miller, the What's Up Doc series, and my grandmother gave us a Mac Performa when I was a teenager, and I learned how to type playing video games, online video games called MUDs. And I'm a self-taught graphic technical artist with computers, and just naturally gravitate towards systems. And I guess my graduate degree, I went to did a BFA in interactive media and did a master's degree in interaction design, which is basically physical computing, like how your car dashboard screen works, or if you even have a screen.
Well, you know, as I'm hearing, I'm first thinking of, here's a guy from Maui. He got so technically able, and then you came back. If you were on Maui, you'd be saying, now which waiter job or what hotel do I want to work for? But you weren't that. You were a guy with techno. You were on the mainland. You applied these skills in some way before you came back to Maui. Give us more of the richness, because to me, that's what's so exciting. You came back. You're here. You're that lifeblood that Maui said, we want our children to be knowledgeable and care and return. Let me shut up now. But
I think that's the big solution. That's the big solution. So I went to Minneapolis for college. It was freezing. I had swimming shorts and soccer shorts, and I slipped on the ice, and I thought it was beautiful for like a week or 2 weeks during the winter. Then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to. But the nice thing was I studied really hard. I became a really studious, dedicated person in the academic system filled with artists and designers. And then I escaped the United States. I did a woofing, like a volunteer farming thing in Italy. I met a beautiful Korean woman. I moved to Korea. I got tired of teaching English. I moved back to Italy to go to grad school. I did this technology design thing, and I got hired by a company called IDEO, which is known for design thinking and human-centered design. So that's the main practice that I bring. I'm a human-centered systems thinker, and I went from IDEO, being a consultant, working for companies like AT&T, Microsoft, PayPal, like just the big companies, also working for the Singaporean government and the American intelligence community. So I had some really great exposure there with those organizations. From Singapore, I learned some big lessons about governments. One is, I learned this recently actually, they pay their students to perform, so that you get a lot of incentive to be in school. But what I got from them as the main lever of change, is they would give scholarships to the best and brightest to go to whatever school, Stanford, Oxford, and then come back and work in governments. This is like a virtuous cycle of like, you send out your kids, they come back, they have guaranteed housing, guaranteed job, and it just makes the system get better and better. And Singapore went from being a fishing village, like not a backwater fishing village off the coast of Malaysia, to being like the center of commerce, of transport, of logistics. And now it's one of the best places to live and work. And even the Chinese government looks up to Singaporean governments.
That's so exciting. And, you know, the Singapore model about sending kids away and coming back, I didn't realize till I just said it, that is what, to me, is the key, and how we can get people to make Maui better. It's such a pleasure. When you grew up here, you saw a different Maui. It wasn't that long ago. You were gone for, how long were you gone, do you think?
I was here for 18 years, then gone for 18 years.
Okay.
Pretty
So
balanced.
you've seen lots of change, and I imagine in your area, Paia-Makawao, Haiku, lots of change. I know you represent all of Maui, and all of Maui needs to remember that at the voting. You vote for all 9 people. So if you like ARAM Armstrong and you live in Molokai.
Molokai, what's up? Eat more vagina. If you've been to Molokai, you know. And Lanai is actually my new favorite island. Sorry, Maui. To retire and to just to hang out because of one, the people there. 2, I want to get Larry Ellison to help us host the next triathlon, and maybe call it the Resilience Games, which is the opposite of the Hunger Games, and start this mission and movement towards taking what we have as resources like Kiave. I learned this on the ferry boat to Lanai. It was my first time there for my birthday. That Kiave is a hardwood that can be used for furniture. You can eat the green pods, and you can take the mature pods and ground them into flour, which is great for diabetics if you want to like make pancakes. So there's a whole economy around taking what is now on the land, the deer, the kiawe, and then transforming that into products and livelihoods for people.
You had mentioned something that I appreciated. You were talking to Pat Borge down in McKenna area.
Yeah,
I think people need to hear that. You see, you're I like the fact that you're dynamic in your ideas, and you're working with all kinds of people. Some of them well entrenched, some of them by the nature of your attitude and being out there and comfortable with who you are. You've been meeting some very exciting people, all kinds of people.
I did have a great experience with my Earth Day. I guess, what is it, your debut, Earth Day debut? I was a bit late to Earth Day because I was cycling to Earth Day from Haiku. And so by the time I got there, all the seats at the candidates table were filled, and I was given a table kind of off to the side. And it turns out that's where Uncle George Kahumoku Jr. decided to sit down. And so I met him. And then he invited me to his farm, and I got to meet all the animals on the farm, see how he does his, like everything he's doing, just his way of being as a farmer, as a host, just constantly taking stuff out of his compost, putting it into the nursery and planting it, and like feeding everything, like pulling weeds, feeding the animals, making stuff, a lot of stuff by hand just for delivery, and just really impressed and awed by his presence and his heart and his aloha spirit.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And, he's been doing it for so long. He is definitely Uncle George, Believe it or not, I don't know if he even remembers. We did a show together at Akaku. It must be almost 30 years ago. It's amazing how the years fly by, but good ideas don't go away. And a young man like yourself, who is now in the prime of his life, decided to come back to Maui. Well, how many techno jobs do you see here? Or do you work from a distance now as a consultant more?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I could work here and work with clients anywhere. I've tried to weave as much of Maui and Hawaii into my work as possible. I spent the last year and a half working on a food system map in partnership with some academic folks. UH Hawaii West Oahu, Dr. Avi Miles has been our main convener of the work. And we're almost wrapped up with the project. Happy to share it very soon with all the other candidates for governor, for mayor, for whomever, because it's looking at the entire state and what sort of policy interventions, what kind of program funding is needed to make Hawaii resilient in times of crisis and over the long term.
Now, there's going to be a written document.
What we're doing is a visual map. So I'm a visual thinker and visual facilitator, and this is actually like a big overview of the history of the Hawaiian food system, various interventions, how they fit together across the landscape.
Is a visual map basically like a website? To me, it's like take an idea and put it out. I need someone like you to visually map an idea. And so that's what you do. Maybe that's why we got along so well when we were speaking, because you know how to view things and put it out in a way to make it more understandable. So like in your role on council, where you would be able to explain things and bring them together in a way that take down the walls between things that seemed like problems, right?
Yeah,
actually, right?
So Jason, would you mind if I share my screen with you?
Oh, I would love it. Let me make that available to you.
Okay.
Let me just find the button. There we go.
Okay.
I'm going to stop looking over to the side here. Multiple participants. Tell me when you can.
Okay, coming in hot with a new framework. So visual frameworks are a big way that I help facilitate conversations. And I share my screen now. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to Google Chrome. This is what you're seeing is my Miro board, which is basically a big whiteboard that
Got
we
it.
put post-its into. So there's like text and post-its and shapes and icons. And
right.
This framework right here, I'm calling it the Meet Me in the Middle framework, talks about how we as a community think holistically. So there's the top-down things that are happening in the government. mandates, policies, incentives, things to do, things not to do. Then there's the middle out marketplace. So what are all the businesses doing? What are all the nonprofits doing? How are they supporting and working with the top-down policies to serve a marketplace, the people? And then there's the stuff that we see on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, whatever, all the things, TikTok, the movement, the people in the streets. And so these are two kind of convening or two intersecting triangles, the top-down force, the bottom-up force, and then that kind of like a swirl of middle out. And if we're not cooperating, then we're in like bare minimum survival mode. If we are somewhat aligned and able to kind of work together as the people, the government, and the business community, then we can sustain our way of being. And if we're really good at this, then we get to stay on this planet for a long, long time, mutual flourishing. And so that's the kind of visual framework that I like to, these types of frameworks help.
And who evaluates value of pieces on the board?
Who evaluates the value of the pieces on the board? So
when you say surviving versus coping versus someone's looking at the pieces and evaluating, they financially evaluated, socially evaluate. How do you evaluate?
How do you evaluate? So I'm going to call in one of our interviews from the food system mapping. His name is Hunter Hevelin, and he shared with us the perspective of having metrics that are not just one metric, but sort of holistic, multi-dimensional metrics. And so it could be financial, like how are we doing financially? It could be also how happy are we? And that's like the Bhutan, gross happiness product, or, you know, they measure people based on happiness, not based on how much money they make.
Bhutan, yeah.
And so, I mean, so we just, in the news today, Roe versus Wade was canceled. This is a huge thing, huge news. And so I was thinking about where's this coming from? And another framework I come back to again and again is yin yang and yin yang yang, which is, so yin yang is light and dark, or balance, male and female energy. Yin yang yang can mean heaven, earth, and the people. And so I kind of like this as an overview of how we work together. And if I were to look at the issue right now around Roe versus Wade, I would say it's like, what does holistic health look like in personal sovereignty? And if we look at those two dynamics, those two elements, we'd be able to answer a lot of big questions just by centering the conversation around holistic health. What does that mean? Is it my health? Is it your health? Is it our health as a family, as a community? Is it just my mental health, or is it also my emotional and physical health? And so when we start to look at these problems from multiple layers, we can have a holistic approach together. That's my main message, is how to think bigger together.
Now, as I'm listening to you, the thing that immediately grabs me, if I was a viewer, and I'm a candidate, but I'm a participant in this process, is you're someone who's looking at all the pieces and not prejudging and putting all the pieces in a way that it all complements for the greatest survival, and recognizing we're, as an entity, we're an island community. We're not a mainland. We are a unique breathing, we're a thing. I catch that about you. Do you find that young people get you quickly and old people don't, or what do you see when you're out there?
I don't know. I get people. I like that when we get each other. I like being. I've been an uncle for a long time. I like when I'm with kids, it's just like all playtime and let's just have fun. Adults, we tend to talk more. So I think it's really like being more embodied and like into just like being creative and playful when you're around that energy, and also not being a bystander, not being an observer, not being like, oh, kids are over there in the playground playing. Like, how do you be a part of the fun? And also, how do you be part of the conversation? So,
well, I'm not talking about the kids as much, although I respect and appreciate that playful side is really important, and into the policies that you would be creating. I think we spoke about that. There's a candidate running for another office who has his own slant on learning processes. But you come from a very holistic, inclusive model. Again, you come out of a model that I've been trying to live. Not judgmental, not being perceived. I don't know how I'm perceived, but I've stayed away from being too polar so that everyone realizes I'm a neutral zone. That's how this neutral zone came about. I'm anything but neutral. I see that about you. I wonder, I was teaching in 1994 as a substitute teacher. And now one of those guys is like coming to me at the airport. Hello, Mr. Schwartz. There's now a 45, 50-year-old guy coming to me and remembering me. Or Maui Pono, guy that runs all their operations, that knows me by name. And this was, so, but the people under that, the internet age, like when suddenly, how to get the message out, and what are you, I consider you a wizard. I'm watching you, you know how to move things on the net that make me struggle. You know what a game online is. Yeah. You know, the only thing I know about game is, you know, when I go out hunting. But
well, this is where I'm at in my other venture, which is bootstrapping and becoming Maui Mind Academy.
Great.
I have an intern on the Big Island of all places, Luke. Which is, I think, is a great name, Luke. So that makes me, hopefully, Obi-Wan. I don't know, maybe you're Yoda at this. I'm not sure. And so what I've been doing with Luke is just creating a space for us to work together and say, hey, Luke, here's the Innovator's Compass, which is a way of looking at the world of like what's happening now and why. Why is it? What happens next? What can we do in the future? And showing Luke the templates that I have, the ways of thinking that I have, and then engaging with him to be a co-creator. And
that's terrific.
It's really exciting. So,
can you just, if you can easily go to your website, just so we can, the thing to me is these interviews are like an open door. And now, please, people, go to the website, go to my website, go to ARAM's website, you know, to find out more about it. The stuff that you're doing is very powerful and very much part of our community and our future. And there it says right there. Our future definitely depends.
Yes, on the conversation that we have now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What's the page address?
ArmstrongforMaui.net. It's a .net because I'm trying to throw out a big net and cast and catch people.
And FOR spelled out Armstrong 4.
The number 4.
Oh, okay.
4. I decided to go with the number 4, even though I know in some cultures it's like it has some negative connotation. But
well, you stand in good company. Only reason I say that is because I did something like that. But I have 3 ways to get to mine, and I can't miss May the Schwartz be with you.us, because that's so much fun. And dreammaui.com, because Dream Maui has always been my thing. .com, it's been for 30 years. But being serious, Mac for, do you know,
the website, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right, I'm just talking away.
Generativity.us is the main website that shows the process that I use. So
great.
Human-centered system thinking.
Important.
This top-down, bottom-up approach to becoming a more regenerative society. I wrote this up, immediately shared this with Mike Molina and some of the other council members, like, come on, let's do this, guys. So this is the kind of map that I'm talking about. Is like we do collective sense making, then we come together in the middle, and then like somewhere you could probably see the county building right there, and then we have orchestrated action working together. And there's so many problems and solutions, like the deer. The deer are a big problem solution. Like we could be eating a lot of venison burgers. They could be Kiave grilled venison burgers. That would be delicious.
Well, you know, when I look at things like this, I think it's how different presentation and who's listening, who's watching, who understands. There's so many solutions at hand. You're a great example of it. I feel like I've been an example, like the Rodney Dangerfield for 30 years on Maui. I get no respect. But we're coming out now. And the fact that there's you, that you hear and you can put it in here, and young people, I hope young people, I want to get us back on screen. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's go. I'm going to stop screen. How do I stop screen sharing?
I don't know. There we go.
Stop share.
There we go.
We're back. We're back.
I think of you as young people. Please excuse me, but at 71, everyone looks young to me, which is good. But I've not given up because I'm not giving up.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do this alone, never been able to do it alone. The time when things get traction and when there's enough people aligned in a positive action. You are that. I see you on council. I say to myself, now you're in a race with someone that many people say, well, this guy's been here forever. Yeah, okay. So who is that and what is that? And how does that compare to now? And you've been here forever too, in those same periods.
I've been here and back, and I think it's important for all of us to go here and back. You can't really understand how beautiful Maui is until you leave Maui. I went to Minneapolis, which is cold and flat, and I was like, where's the ocean? Where's the mountain? I'm dying out here. Send me back. And I went to Asia too. I went to the big cities. I lived in Shanghai for years, Hong Kong for years, and it's like Maui's such a sanctuary. It's so special.
When you were watching those meetings, what grabbed you? Where you said, hey, my knowledge can really help. Now you talked to a couple of people. You feel on council, you'd have much more traction with implementing your ideas into the immediate system to be able to come out with more exciting product that everyone would be comfortable with? How's that?
I'm a big believer in the medium is the message, and the process is what actually dictates what happens. And so there are core things like, so here's my understanding of what the role of the council is. The role of the council is to inform the mayor, pretty much. The council can do a lot of things, but basically they're like R&D for the county. That's how I view them. And the council has all these sub-councils that are staffed by volunteers. And so my gifts could be helped to, or supporting, shifting how those sub-councils inform the council and how we become smarter and more effective at implementing all the great ideas, because there's a lot of great ideas. It's just the process is just so painful. Like, I don't want to read through 100 pages of whatever. Show me the picture. What's the leverage point? What's the blockage? How do we get in there and just activate and learn from small prototypes? That's why I'm about prototyping small and learning from doing.
Many times in the past, you just talked about that being a support for the mayor and the research for the mayor, there's been some distance between a mayor who is headstrong and he's got the answers, and he generally came from council, and the council. Your process is basically putting it all out there on the table and working better together to where the direction of the pieces of the government have the help of the council, and I mean council like advice from the council, rather than the mayor running these departments and the council feeling like they can't do anything. They can't go to these different departments to make changes, or they have needs in housing and they go and they're not their place to be able to instruct people. So your systems, do you think you can, I don't want to say inside, it's like inside the system, be able to make some of those?
There's a really good metaphor for this. It's a book called Orbiting the Giant Hairball. So imagine the system as the hairball, and you have to kind of get like orbit, you have to get close to it, feel the stickiness, the ickiness, be inside of it a little bit, and then kind of pull out and see, so why is it like this? And then you can detangle the hairball, you can put it in a nice little bath. It's a process.
I love that title. I mean, I think we should all buy that book. How many people see a book called, what was it, Undoing the Hairball?
Orbiting the Giant Hairball.
I love that. I mean, there's a name for it. It's almost like May the Schwartz be with you. If you put that as your site, Orbiting the Giant Hairball, you'd get some views.
Yeah. I mean, the other book that I'd recommend that I want to send as a gift to all the council members and the mayor is Transformative Scenario Planning.
Is that a concept that is new? No, it's a concept that is awakening, right? Transformative scenario.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll let you explain it.
It was applied in South Africa during the apartheid transition. So they all collected at some place called Mount Fleur, And basically, you had the most opposing sides come together in one room and think about what is the potential future of South Africa. Do they all do they all go to war with each other? Does the business interests take over? And they played through all the different stories, and collectively they were like, okay, well, we don't want to like destroy each other, and this maybe doesn't feel right. So they were able to come together towards a common story. And it's been applied to Colombian drug lords and the Colombian government, having them come together. But it's a very robust process that's been applied to really complex challenges. And I think if storytelling is so important, big part of Hawaiian culture, oral culture, that we just need to have a better way of listening to each other and integrating what those stories are and creating a bigger myth of the future that we want to be a part of.
As you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, that's like me here at the neutral zone, coming up with ideas like we do with the Dream Maker, and we together all have our parts. And so I can always hear the same message, that people of like mind come together. We're looking to work together to take and create no enemies, create an inclusive model at this council so that the votes are 9-0. We don't have a polarized Supreme Court type of, maybe we're different issues, but it's the same thing. We should come up with one truth. Could that be?
One truth. I don't know. I mean, there's value in dissent. There's value in having a chorus and not everyone being humming the same.
No, but here we are in the neutral zone. Here we are. Yeah. I mean, at some point on an island, you say, okay, what are we going to do with our problems? We're going to throw them all in the ocean? We're going to have a pile of garbage next to us? Or are we going to process this and really integrate everything? Isn't that really our goal, right?
Well, I think we look back in history, each island was self-governing. Each valley probably had its own way of doing. If you look even way back, so I was talking to an uncle who's from Taiwan but lives in Hawaii. He works with the DoD Conservation Corps, and he was saying that you can actually trace the hala plants, the genetics, all the way back to Taiwan, which means that possibly people from Hawaii actually brought this plant with them. And so were they from Taiwan? We don't know. But what I learned from him about Taiwanese indigenous culture is that in each valley, it was a different culture. They spoke a different language. It was very, very small. And in Hawaii, we had, there's different ways of doing things. What that gives us as maybe a lesson to take forward into the future is we can try things on the west side, on the south side. What solutions work for you guys that we can learn from? Lanai has the cat sanctuary. Why doesn't every island have a cat sanctuary or multiple cat sanctuaries? Because it brings in tourists. It manages this feral cat problem, because cats, they're cute, but they also kill off birds. They introduce parasites and disease to our water system, the ocean. So cats are a problem, but they're also a cuddly place to just hang out with a bunch of cats. It's pretty cool.
You know that here on Maui, we have smaller private versions of that, but nothing to the scale of Lanai. That's great.
Right. Well, this is the bigger thing. So the county and the state are chronically underfunded and understaffed.
Wow.
And this is why the DLNR has a fraction of the budget that it should have. Comparing the budget that the state of Hawaii has for conservation, we're probably at the level of Arizona or someplace, or think of a Midwestern state that doesn't have the amount of diversity in different biomes. Not to project anything poor on them. I love the Midwest.
No, but you're saying there's a lot here to preserve, and it takes a lot more money and time than it has resources. Yeah.
Yes, the budget doesn't reflect it. Why? Always asking why. Why don't we have a budget that reflects the things that bring people here to the islands? Because it is the clean water, the mountains, the nature that is the foundation for your postcard vacation. And if we don't protect that, we're making slow progress. We're making progress. But there's things like, the limes, the lemons in Central Valley. That's not a food security, food sovereignty play. And so having a conversation about that as well is important.
Well, those are great conversations, but so we're talking about, we see limes and all that stuff growing, and we know that's not going to sustain anything. We also talked about that's stage one. I'm slow to, those guys have so much area to cover. I'm just amazed. But Mahi Pono. I watch and I say,
yeah.
between the rows, you know, we talk about having not only a monocrop and lots of good discussions, but they've taken the heavy lifting of getting the water out and doing the things now that the sugarcane is gone, and are setting up systems that can stay a while rather than be ground up and all the things from the.
Yeah.
It's a major change, but I think they know it too. I don't want to for a second presume they don't know that, because I would be foolish. This isn't their first rodeo besides, but we are unique in that we're an island. I would have liked to seen things. I really think that maybe these are the barriers, because we have a windy center of the island. If they become the barriers, that then between the rows, we can do other things. Maybe they know that, maybe they don't, but it sure seems like they should. They're making enough room to be able to do things between their lemon and lime trees. And again, we'll see. That's why someone like you or me being around and opening our mouths without being if we're Sierra Club or Maui Tomorrow, the world perceives us as attacking to try to stop something, when in fact, we're not. We're looking to all of us want to make things better. It's a perception of the good guys and bad guys. Your model that showed yin, yang, and a third piece, humanity creates that blend. I don't know if I'm talking too wild for most people, but I'm sure you understand me from here.
There's 2 points of light, I would say, that we can shine a focus on. So there's just around the Maui Tropical Plantation, there's Hawaii Terra Farm in Lakahea, and they're doing a pilot on regenerative indigenous taro cultivation. Like they're doing agriculture with a lot of smallholder farmers, and there's a lot of great models there. They're building soil. The Seeking Root Farm is it's basically 2 humans and a small army of animals, and then a larger army of worms. All about.
That is a great Lakahea and Winsome Williams, great group. And Bobby, what they're doing, the fact they're going to keep it going when they build a housing community next door, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
really
so they're doing
powerful.
Great work. So that is just focus on that and scale that up, please. That's becoming a model. And then for Earth Day, there was the Mahi Pono shared their tree portfolio. And I want to see it that they have one site that has got the ulu, got the new coconut, the ulu, the breadfruit, various things that are we can eat this. We should do more coconut plantings, and just diversify that. So there's a lot of stuff that we could do more of, more cover cropping. I'm not a farmer. I've applied to be part of the FAM program, but I'm just a small time chaos gardener. So I try to be a part of the solution and support folks who are actually good at that job.
Well, I can tell in just speaking with you, you're someone that listens. If someone's coming to you, they surely have an open door with ARAM Armstrong.
Open tent. No doors.
If I was going to say, okay, you're running in this race, what things do you want to talk about that I don't want to miss, that you really want to share with a voter?
That's a big question. I think. So one of my more controversial stances is about being pro-cyclists. I'm anti-mosquito and I'm pro-cyclist. I know, so Upcountry Maui has a big issue. The downhill cyclists, they're coming off the mountain. Who knows when the last time they rode a bike was. They're getting lost. They are stopping in Makawao town and creating commerce there, but there's all these do not park your bike signs. I'm there's a problem here. How do all the bike operators hooey up and understand what the challenges are and come to some sort of rules and guidelines with the county and the state? Because if someone gets injured on a state highway and then they want to sue the state or sue the county, who's liable for people getting injured? And I just want to be able to ride my bike from Makawao to Pukalani to drop my kids off at school. There's so much traffic between Makawao and Pukalani, that's car traffic, and so we have the Baldwins with the horses and the polo and all this great heritage. Can we get the riders, the horse riders, the bike riders, the surfers, whoever wants to join this hooey of riders to make cycling safe on Maui, and just form reinforce what we already have. So Dave DeLeon was actually critical to getting this North Shore bikeway, and I've enjoyed it. I take it. When I go, I usually actually take my mountain bike. I just go straight down the hill through whatever roads I can find, and then take the bus back up. And so I want to work with Yukile around multimodal, like different modes of transportation, improving the way that we have rural connectivity. How do you get out to Hana? Do we all need to drive to Hana? No, we don't all need to drive to Hana. I felt, just personal reflection, the COVID thing, for early COVID was like, the road to Hana is open. Why didn't I take my bike around the island then? I would just like to see like one day a month, one day a quarter, that it's like a bike day, that we all just like, like there's some roads that are just like more bikes, more horses, and we learn how to be less reliant on cars, because the gas is going more and more expensive, and we don't need to all be in our own cars. We could be out there.
I like your idea. I wonder how practical. If our roads were wider, I'd feel good, but it's for the rogue driver. It's the rogue drive. I'm worried about rogue drivers. I mean,
so I stay off the road as much as possible.
I'm sadly, more than 5 friends die on bicycles on Maui. And that I say very sadly. Beautiful people, obviously, up country. You probably knew Andy Jansen with 3 daughters and a wife. Crazy stuff. Down in Kihei, they know where these spaces are, and we don't fix them because it is a priority. And I mean,
the pineapple fields, all the cane fields. What are we doing? Can we talk to Mahi Pono about managed access for cyclists to go from upcountry to Kihei, away from all the cars?
Wow. I like that. How about one giant tube where you get in at the top? I always remember the chutes and ladders.
I want to be on the zip line.
Chutes and ladders. I mean, now it's Maui zip line. Yeah.
World's longest zip line. If we advertise the world's longest zip line, we're going to get more folks who are showing up.
Now we can do a virtual zip line. Show them Maui from the comfort of their own home in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the future of transportation is big. Also, the ferry system between Maui and Lanai, there's some push. I think Larry Ellison is offering to buy it, but the ferry is one of the really well worker-owned cooperative. And I think the ferries, the buses, the bikes, if you want to hop on it, like, is there county canoes, county bikes? I don't know what the solution is, but I want to open up and widen the conversation about how we move around the island. Mobility is really important because we spend a lot of time and money.
I think it's great. Anything about, I mean, I can just go on subjects, but, it's like from the outside looking in, when we're there, the issues at hand we'll deal with. There's so many issues. I like the expression that's sort of funny. Sometimes it's difficult to remember your original intention was to come in and drain this swamp when you're up to your eyes in alligators. And there's so many alligators, and there's $1, it's got to go 5 places, and everybody wants their priority. And I see ways to make those multiples happen through involving people in new programs. And I see that in you.
Just wait a minute. I want to protect the wetlands. I'm not draining the swamp.
Well, there you go.
Restore the wetlands. Don't drain the swamp. Acknowledge that the alligators and the crocodiles have a purpose.
That's a very funny line, but in politics, how many people have said "drain the swamp, drain the swamp,"
and they didn't follow through. They didn't understand that they're part of an ecosystem.
That was madness. But anyway, I am so thankful. I'm so far from Washington, but even that long arm of Washington reaches us.
It does. And actually, I did a yoga teacher training. So a while ago, 2 years ago, before COVID, I went to this South America, did some workshops there, and then I kind of got stuck in Ecuador, did a yoga teacher training that was amazing. And I came back to the US after this transformational experience, and I went straight to DC, right into the belly of the beast. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? But there's so much arts in DC, there's so much free art, it's like amazing. And I found a fantastic community of people, ecstatic dance. I love ecstatic dance. Just like, it's for me, it's sort of, it's therapy. And through that, I even met Netra don't know if you met, you probably know Netra.
She'll be on having a show with her Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I met Netra out there, and she's there as a lobbyist or whatever. Netra's, she's got her views. She cornered me at Maui Earth Day. It was like, Aram, what do you believe about the vaccine mandates? I'm Switzerland. I'm like, neutral territory right here. This body, neutral territory.
I like to say, I like to have you make your own decision. That's how I approach it.
Personal sovereignty.
Yeah. And I leave it at that. People know their choices. If that's a discussion, that's another day. I want to give you the choice. And see, that's where I think I watch a lot of people now running Republican because the Democrats are somehow perceived as the vaccine people and they're the freedom people. The Republicans, the freedom people? What bizarro planet are we living on now? What is that?
Labels. Yeah, labels.
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 Anyway, you've been here, and I don't know, I think we're probably at an hour. You are an interesting candidate where I could come and talk with you because you're a person. I'm bringing this book up. I want people to see Gaviotas, Gaviotas. This started me in thinking about self-sustainability. When I was on Maui, this amazing. Can you imagine? In 1976, the highest award of self-sustainability went to a thing that was right next to the Sandinistas in Colombia. They took a barren wasteland, turned it into a fully biodiverse rainforest. And they created a community and brought up the health of everything. It's a gigantic story. Why don't we have it here? Pardon me?
Are they still around? And why is that? Did that model propagate?
Yes, that model is not only still around, it's thriving. And it's an example to the world in the middle of next to the Sandinistas in Colombia. So the objective is where to do it. So when I met Paulo Lugari, we talked about, and he's Spanish, so we had a translator, about doing it in Hawaii, reforestation of Hawaii. The people here are those people that are in office, a lot of them. They are asleep. They're not listening. That's why we need to be there, because they only listen, I believe, when you're in a seat. When you're in the seat and they hear you. Doctor?
Managing so afforestation, reforesting, bringing the rain back to the mauna, that begins with us managing the deer population. So the first thing that we do is that we need to have a managed harvest of the deer as a resource, respectfully, safely, and that is a great protein.
So we're right on target. You see, isn't that exciting that this idea that we've had can now be integrated with the things happening now and move us up and do things in a way that are a great example. Anyway, I know I get off the top. I get excited about possibility more than actuality. It's like someone always has ideals only in the storybooks. It's been hard for me to get through this, thing where people are pummeling you for 30 years and talking about you like some radical, when now it's on everybody's lips. But they didn't do it and integrate it. They do it for their own self-interest. They do it and they split it up instead of, we're on an island, people, as an example. Look how we can, everything is here. All the solutions are here.
Yeah, well, so benign self-interest. Self-interest is definitely like the motivation of like being here, staying here, protecting your family. We all have this internal drive to protect ourselves, protect our family, and that's just a universal. And the more that we can open up that sphere of care of who we consider family, whether it's the people in our community or the plants and the animals and everything around us, that'll help us feel more protective and more connected to solutions that we can work on together.
So that's why I say, and I say it loudly to everyone listening, social skills, social value, helping someone when you see they need help will help the system, because it is the system. It's us. Take away the burden by being part of the solution. It sounds like you are.
Here's my bumper sticker series. It's you are the system. No, first we start with everything everyone knows. The system is broken. Number one, the system is broken. You are the system. You reboot the system, or lomi the system, or huli the system. Like, what do you, now that you know you are the system and your neighbor's the system, your parents, your children, we are all the system. How are we going to change and shift this system dynamic?
Do you feel sitting in the council seat, you can hit the job, come running? I'm sure there's a lot of studying and getting used to it, but.
I've been curious about that. I've been curious about what's the training. I mean, I'm qualified in that I'm of a certain age and I have a certain residency, but there's no actual training. I applied for the Kuleana Academy and they said, oh, you don't need us, you're overqualified. I'm like, really? Because what test did I take? So I'm curious about what's the playbook, how does it actually work? This is why I'm creating this. My campaign is also material for AP Applied Civics. And so you have an experience running for council. A lot of folks have learned different things about how the system works. I want to bring us all together to teach the next generation, all the high school graduates. You can vote. If you are 18, you can vote. Here's my last radical idea. If you can have a baby, you should be able to vote. It's the natural law of voting. If you create a life, you should have the right to vote. That's where I'm going to put it. Thank you, Jason, for the time. And creating this platform for us to talk.
And I appreciate having you. You're the kind of guest that, election or no election, you're a good guest because you are rich in ideas and you are the fabric that is the future. I very much, whatever happens this election, I hope you will stay plugged in. And if the seat be yours, I hope you'll listen to me when I come to you, unless I'm on council and you come to me, or we both do it together.
I'm taking notes. I've got the record right here, Otter. We have to make the council legible, accessible, and legible. So that's like simplifying the interface, the conversation. So you're not waiting for hours to say your or you just like, here's what I feel about this one thing, and then we can consolidate it and then act on it. Because the way things are going now, we're going to be way too late. So we have to shift the process.
Well, so I can see where immediately as you get there, you'd streamline the system and make it better.
I love working with the whole team. So
you've been a terrific guest, Aram. For people in island of Maui or Molokai or Lanai, you are aware that Aram Armstrong, no matter if you're in any of those islands, you can vote for him, even though he represents, that's so funny, your district of residency. You represent me as much as I represent you. We're all together in this. And if they ever changed it to district voting, I think my heart might stop. We've been trying to talk about that forever.
I was looking at, sorry to interrupt, but I was on the west side looking at the vista from Maui Honokawai to Lanai on the right and Molokai on the left. I'm like, there was just one big island and big turtles, like a lot of big turtles down there. Well, I don't know what the land was like back there, but we're now up on the ridge of an old Maui Nui. It's Maui Nui United, and that's the kind of mindset that we need to have, because Molokai, Lanai, Maui County, we're all one. Maui, west side, east side, south side, north shore. It's a big system, and we have different perspectives, different problems. We get a lot of water from, the water. I'm not getting the water thing. Everyone knows about the water thing, I hope. Please.
Well, there's so many subjects to cover. That's why I say, just because we didn't cover your favorite subject out there, people, doesn't mean
housing. Right here, temporary housing.
There's so many issues that like I say, there's so many issues we could get lost. But if you have the aptitude, like you, my friend, you take the issues, like they say in the karate and in judo. You may have 7 people against you. You deal with one, do the next one, the next one.
What is that? Bagua. The 8 ways, yeah. We're going to do Bagua on the county council floor. Tai Chi.
Well, that would be a great thing. Aram, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you very much.
Oh, Jason, I appreciate you.
And all you people out in radio, TV, and internet land, you can watch this again at MauiNeutralZone.com, or you can put the name Armstrong and Schwartz and Maui in YouTube or Google, and boy, will you see the show come up. And know that everything in your life is dependent upon you, and you are, in fact, the greatest gift that you have. And look how independent you can be in looking at these candidates like Aram Armstrong, deciding, I like him, I can vote for him. Let every group give you their opinion and come to your own heart and see what feels right for you. That was my phone. I put Pink Panther as my phone. I thought if someone saw me interrupting. There he goes. Aram, come back to say goodbye. There we go.
Mahalo.
Thank you, everyone. Aloha.
Aloha. Take care.